Welcome back, my name is Tomislav, and in this video I'm going to show you how I make one of these walnut square plates. And these are for the client, so 5 walnut and 1 cherry. And if you remember, a few days ago I published a video on a chestnut square plate. These are slightly different design. As you can see here, these are pretty much all the same from the side view and the bottom as well, design and everything, but from the request from the client, the top design of each of these walnut plates is slightly different, so that's sort of a unique challenge as well, and you'll see all of that in this video, so stay tuned. So this is the final blank of a walnut, and it's let's see, 225 mil square. That's a little less than 9 inches square and 35 mil thickness. And this goes on a screw chuck. This is 3-in-1 from VICMARK screw chuck. Now the first task, as always, is to chew this up so I can mark the transition points. I'll be using square and scraper, so I'll raise the tool rest a little bit higher. So this is running at, let's increase the speed a little bit more, 1240 RPM. Square and scraper, 1 inch. Now I had to bring the camera a little bit to the right. I was hitting with the handle the camera. Now here where are the wings, so we use scraping air and wood. Have to be careful not to push the scraper in. So I want the very corners to be the most proud section, and I will have to remove still from this area and a little bit from the middle. And I'll mark the tenon for the chuck, and this is overall bottom section, which is not that crucial, and this is just another detail. So the bottom will look on all of the plates quite similar. So I need to mark the foot, so the bottom here is pretty clean, a little bit here, but that will sand out, so I need 20 mil mark here. That's the foot. And here roughly half an inch or 12 mil thickness. So I have this 20 mil line here and this 12 mil line here, so that's just a reference point to get similar shape. Ball gouge to make the inside curve here. Remove the bulk first. Okay, I'm here almost to the line, and the foot here also, so that's nice and clean. And you want this area to be nice and clean. It's really hard to sand, so just get the best tool finish that you can. Now need to remove this area here. You can use a ball gouge, the left wing. A few videos back, one viewer said that he likes to always cut the wood and avoid scraping by all means, and I'm also like that. If I can cut the wood, get a really nice clean cut without any interference, or get the shape as well done right, then I will do it. But here, let's say, it's just more convenient and more easier job to use a refiner and get this and blend this area here, at least to me. So like so. And you'll see there is not much difference in terms of quality. So you can see that's quite good, and it flows really nice. So that's important. We have this bulk here. Now I want to rough that out as well. So again, I'll use refiner. So this is roughed profile here. I set the foot with small spindle gouge, 10mm diameter tool. So that's the foot done, like this. Start with the round over here. Small bead. Finish it from this side. Then I grab small skew, clean up the very corner here, and this area I want to get straight shoulder right up to the bead. Like so. And while I have the skew, I can just ever so slightly finesse the bead. So that's clean, this is clean, and we can make a cove here, just grabbing the 1/2 inch spindle gouge, again leaving the little flat area right beneath the foot. Now here I don't ride the bevel because this is quite steep bevel, and the riding just wouldn't work here. So what I'm doing is, as I'm pushing in, I'm also squeezing my hand, and in a control manner I'm slicing the grain, but I'm not using the bevel to steer, so I'm steering with my hands. So it's a little bit awkward cut, let's say, but for this side grain portion here does get the job done really nicely. So I don't have to sand as much. And I'll just finesse it a little bit. Okay, that feels okay. A little lump on this side. There we go. A little brush here, so that will send out quite easy. Actually this side I can reduce the flat spot a little bit, like so. There we go. So now that's good. Just clean up now this shoulder. So that's this done. I can roll the bead here on the foot, and again I'll use 1/2-inch spindle gouge to create decoration here, and I do this by eye. So it's sort of similar to others. So that's not too bad. I feel a little bit tear out, so I like to finesse it, grabbing the 10mm spindle gouge, and again, I'm not always riding the bevel, but using the very tip as a slicing action. Now this is really clean, and let's do the left side first of the bead, and then I'm riding the bevel at the very end of the left. Now do the right side. So I want to get this really nice, so I don't have to sand them as much. Okay, that feels okay. And now lastly, this square section here, again 1/2-inch spindle gouge. Get a little cold. Doing the same thing. And let's see the surface. If there is any tweaks that I need to do, any chip out. It's a little bit rougher here, but that will sand out real quick. The beads are nice and clean, and just to compare it, I think that looks quite similar. Again, doesn't have to be the same, but on the bottom I like to do it like this, so it's much easier and faster job to make them in a sort of a batch, similar in size and shape. And now I can sand this, and I'll be using 180 on the drill for this area here. It's much easier and faster, and then by hand sand all the rest here. That's looking really nice. Now just the feet, and I sand those with the 320 grit, the last grit. There we go. So now you can see how it looks on a little bit different light. So everything nice and clean. And this is the other one. So they are quite similar, quite close. And what I'll do now real quick is make the top face on other four, and when it's time to this one, then I'll turn on the camera and show you how I turn the top. So I finished these 5 here, so 4 walnut and 1 cherry, and 1 more walnut to go. So each of these has slightly different pattern on the top, and the bottom is pretty much the same, like I said. So you can see slightly different pattern. Let me grab another one like this, and let me now grab our blank. So I'll be grabbing by this bead here. And these are the step jaws from VICMARK. You don't need a whole lot of pressure. Just spin it so you can see on the inside if it's running through, which it is. So this is again running at around 1250, and I'll be grabbing ball gouge just to skim the top here a little bit. Like so. And these big calipers dividers are set for the outside of the design. And this is the inside measurement. Now what I want is roughly 5-6 mil here from the bottom. I'll mark all 4 sides. When this spins, this is lightly visible. It's not much, but it's enough so I know roughly where to go. Like so. So brought you from the top a little bit. So I'll be going from this line down to that 6 mil line, but slightly in. So I have roughly 6 mil, let's say, of a ridge here or a step for the design here. Again, ball gouge. Again, I'm watching here what's happening on the shadow, on the horizon. I just want to show you why I'm not taking big bites. You can see this, how it pulls up, so you don't want to missing a big chunk here. So just take your time here. And when I'm looking here from the top view myself, I can see the thickness, and I want to follow the inside curve. Again, I do this by eye, it doesn't have to be exact, so you can see here how this sort of follows along, and that's pretty good. A little chip out here, but that will sand out. I can thin it down a little bit more and shear scrape it. Okay, and now just finesse it by dropping the handle down, closing the flute, and using the left wing as a shear scraper. So that looks quite good. I like the curve, and this is quite even. Have here just a little up sort of a shape which I want to remove. I can do it with a refiner as well. Just follow through, that way you remove that reverse curve, and I want to blend up to this bottom. You can go with the ball gouge in this direction if you want, but I find using something like a scraper like this much more convenient, easier to control the shape and everything. To refine the surface. And with a 10mm spindle gouge, take this diameter nice and clean. all the way to the corner. Again, refiner, and just clean up the corner. I'll brush you from this angle so you can see the details here. I'll be using 1 inch wide square and scraper just to set the width of the band here for the decoration. One corner in, roll to another corner. You see that takes off the wood really fast. Again, I want to clean this up. Get a nice clean shoulder. And now again, I can do with this whatever I want or need. Just get this a little bit down. It's sticking way high. And I'm giving it a little curve to mimic this curve here. So with a small skew, I'll make a little step here. Stopping short of the bottom here, roughly 1.5 mil. And I always start by rolling the half bead on this side and get the other bead, other portion of the bead. So that's one side done, and this is ever so slightly too wide, so I can, with the spindle gouge, just trim it a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better. And let's see what I'll do on this side. The other square and scraper. Just get down to the bottom of the bead here. And let's make on this side smaller bead. Reduce the height a little bit. Again, spindle, skew, make a little step. And again, with small spindle gouge, I make this side of the bead first. You can make a little chamfer if you want first. Then just trim one end and then roll the other side. Again, this is smaller bead. So, and I need a flat portion on this side as well. Just finesse the bead here by shear scraping, and that was not supposed to happen. Let's see the damage. The bead should not be damaged, only the bottom here, which is okay. So just clean it up a little bit, and now with a bigger spindle gouge, this is 1/2 inch, I make a cove here. Now when you're making cove on a cross grain work like this, it's slightly different. You don't want to finish up with a spindle gouge upright like this at 12 o'clock facing the flute like on the spindle work. It's different grain orientation here, so be careful. So what I like to do is I rest the bevel on the bead so I can control. I want the the flat portion on the inside as well. So, and when I go in the wood, I open the gouge slightly, and I also stay away from the bevel. Something is knocking on the wood. just checking if there's not any crack or anything weird sound. So wherever you hear new sound on the lathe, stop and see what's going on. So again, when I'm entering the wood, I keep it closed, the flute. Once I'm in the wood, I open it up and control it, and like I said, I stay away from the bevel because the bevel will point me way deeper, and I just pull the gouge out. So it's sort of a freehand shaping. Okay, that feels good. Let's see the surface. And you want to get this cove nice and clean because it's a nightmare to sand on a cross grain like this. So on this side, yeah, everything looks okay. A little smaller flat on this right side would be better. And on the left as well. Just a little stroke with the skew, just to clean it up a little bit, like so. And on this side, there we go. So now I can find the bottom of the hole here, the depth hole. Which is here, and I stop the lathe and I want to see and drill the depth that I can hollow this out. And just between so just between these two lines on the drill, ball gouge. Just stop here and I tap with my finger. I can pretty much guess the thickness, and that's still have a lot of wood here. I mean, a lot. It's a decent amount of wood here that I won't go through the bottom. Now I have here extra step that I want to crisp up. So this portion here, I'll just with the skew make 2 steps here. That's a detail. And I stop here, and with a refiner, which has a nice shallow curve, I can blend this. The rest needs to go up a little more. And that feels like a good curve. So let's see, so that can be sanded. We have 2 steps here as a detail, and everything else seems to be quite lovely. So actually what I'll do, this outside step here, I'll just take it down a little bit more and then I'll sand it. So first with 180 grit I sand the detail here, and then I use the drill to sand the ball part here and the wings here. So I fold it in 2 so I can sand the cove first. and I'm pushing my finger inside so it conforms to the cove and sand it nicely. Now I can even in a single layer, but you have to be quick because the heat can build up quite fast, and I'll actually reduce the speed a little bit. So now it's running at 992 RPM. So I'm quickly traveling with the paper and my finger. So I sand the inside really nicely. And now I can fold it back and use in a padded way, fold it to sand the other details here. And this doesn't take long if you cut it nice and clean. See? Okay. That looks perfect. A little this ridge here on the inside, just a little bit more sandpaper to it. The last step is I move away from the ridge here, from the corner, using the hand sanding like this. Because with the drill, if you go into a corner, you can round over the detail here. And now with 180 grit pad, just close the dust hood a little bit. It's spinning in the wrong way. And I'll again switch the rotation so I can sand the wings here. That's 180 grit. Let's see the wings if they are clean, and they are. So the next step is, once I have the 180 grit here, I sand the edges here. Like so. So that's 180 grit. And I'll do 240 and 320, and then I'll show you the final result. After sanding on the face here, what I like to do is grab the final grit and just soften the sharp edges here a little bit. That makes all the difference in the final piece when you hold it, especially with these kind of sharp edges, corners. You don't have to go crazy, just want to soften this so they are not sharp. And go over with your hand, feel if your hand's stuck on something. So this is good. So I can take it off the chuck and we can see it before the oil. And what I'll do quickly off the camera is just sign it, and then I'll show you when I put the oil on how this looks. I have here my trusty finishing walnut bowl, and the finish I'll be using is mixture of tung oil, and I do this roughly, doesn't have to be exact. It's around 50% tung oil and orange citrus oil. So this is from orange peels, and it's food safe and everything, so a little bit more. Okay, let's start with this one, and at the end I'll do the one that we made in this video. So like I said, I sign it, and this tung oil and the citrus solvent, it dilutes the tung oil so it penetrates deeper, but also dries a little bit faster, and it's easier to spread around. And then after it soaks in, wipe it off, the excess. You can see this walnut is quite thirsty, so it pulls in almost immediately. And let's do the cherry. And cherry with age darkens, so it's a nice, lovely sort of a light brown color, which I really like. But when it's freshly made like this or processed, it's sort of this yellowish brown, which again is quite a lovely color. This particular batch works a little bit different than other cherries that I worked with. It's a little bit more prone to chip out, tear out than usual, but that only means that you have to more cut the wood than scrape it. So you have to find a way to adapt on the fly, let's say, to get the best possible surface before sanding. The other day my wife gave, if you remember, I did a square plate from Sapili a few weeks ago in a video, square as well, and my wife gave it to her friend, and she uses it upside down. It's more convenient for her like that, so that's the sort of a goal, that you need to make the bottom as pretty as the top as well, so you never know how the customer will use it. So that's, you can see, really lovely piece of walnut. So now let this soak in, and I'll wipe off the excess and I'll show you the final result. So the majority of the oil is wiped off. This is our piece that we made in the video, so you can see, I hope, the small details here on the rim, and it's a lovely walnut color. And let me show you here on the cherry, really nice fine bead, small bead, bigger bead, cove, everything nicely cut and shaped. And again, this profile here follows, and when you put it on the table you don't see the bottom here, and that bottom has a function to support the bowl part here. And if you want to use it upside down, of course you can. Now you can place something all the way around around the rims here. So, and this is the other one. Let me move the cable out of the way. Lovely walnut. And this one here, really lovely color in this walnut. As you know by now, I don't like film finishes, especially for stuff that is going to be used like this, although this will be more for dry stuff like keys, wallet, stuff like that. However, I do like this kind of close to wood finish that you get from tung oil, and usually with the tung oil itself, but when you thin it down a little bit with the citrus solvent, then it, in my opinion, gets a little bit better, and it will be matte finish, which I really like. And It's really the best, this kind of close to wood finish and feel. So yeah, hope you like this little video, and see you in the next one.